All right, guys, time to get down to the Mr. GLOAT podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We're already 1 week into the first week of May with a wet head on my hair. All I can say is it's going to be a really doozy, interesting thing to talk about here with only a few topics to talk about, guys. So let's get through these topics as best as we can. Now, the month of July, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be pretty interesting for what it is. Because the month of July is going to bring in a little bit of interesting competition, more than you expect. And we're not even halfway through the month of May. By July 11th, ladies and gentlemen, we do have Ellie Scottney. She's going to have her fight against Yomariev Marsado by trying to unify all titles in super bantamweight. Not all, but technically it's going to be a little bit of an interesting fight. We're going to have Katie Taylor taking on Amanda Serrano that same night in Madison Square Garden as well, which all these fights are going to be live on Netflix. We have Alicia Baumgartner take on a past prime Spanish woman that should not be in the ranks, but she is, taken for undisputed super featherweight title against Jennifer Miranda. And Dina Thorslund, the greatest Denmark boxer, number one greatest pound for pound woman in BoxRec today, taking on Sharetta Metcalf for all the gold of the world bantamweight titles. Or so we thought, except having our beautiful Australian woman, that's the WBA bantamweight championship right now, the one that lost against Ellie Scottney some years ago. Well, are we going to see an undisputed title against her and Dina Thorslund? She wins against this woman? Who knows? We also have Tam Thibault, a 2-0 fighter, taking on 6-0 fighter Mary Casamassa in a 6-round middleweight non-title bout for a ranking to be in the top. It's going to be interesting to know who's going to be ranked to take all of Clarissa Shields' belts, because some people think that the middleweight still has Clarissa Shields having those middleweight belts, which doesn't make sense. It's also going to be interesting, ladies and gentlemen, because as that moment comes, because July the 11th in Madison Square Garden is going to be a really interesting fight with 5 professional fights, all women fights. So it's going to be interesting. But also on July the 19th, like said before, we have Alexander Usyk taking on Daniel Dubois in Wembley Stadium. Also that same night in a different country in Frisco, the Ford Center at the Star, we're going to have Diego Pacheco taking on Trevor Mecumby for a super middleweight fight for his 24th professional fight. That same night is going to be, as from Eddie Hearn Promotion, it's going to be Jesse the Bam Rodriguez taking on Famalela Kamfu, the guy that actually won an unbelievable WBO super flyweight title against a Japanese fighter that's a 4-time weight champion. Let's see if that guy can handle the pressure of Jesse the Bam Rodriguez. They're both undefeated, but someone's has to go. And also, guys, July the 26th, Clarissa Shields is finally going to get a fight. We don't know about the cocaine or drug addiction that she had before her fight against Daniel Perkins, but I guess that fight is not going to be a no contest. They're going to count the win there ever since the controversy happened there. But nope, she's coming back. July the 26th in Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. She'll be taking on Lonnie Daniels, former heavyweight champion and a current IBF light heavyweight champion, 36-year-old New Zealand woman with 11 wins, only 1 knockout, 2 losses and 2 draws, is going to try her best to pick up some interesting competition here. It's going to be interesting competition, and considering that's for the undisputed women's heavyweight championship, so yeah, by July the 11th, July the 19th, and July the 26th. That's going to be one interesting card of shows I'm going to really review. I'm going to review all that quickly as I could from every single moment. It's going to be really interesting and really interesting enough. Oh, and by the way, guys, before we get to it, let's get to our second topic, and that is the month of May. Now, the month of June, I'll say for some other time, but we've reported that Tommy Fury, TNT, is coming back from boxing after a full 1.5-year hiatus after his win against KSI in October the 14th of 2023. He's going to fight against a fighter with a 5-1 record on May the 9th, which is actually happening tomorrow. As I'm recording this, it's already Thursday, May the 8th, but I'm also uploading this on the 12th of Monday as we're doing this. I've already done so many podcasts this week right now, but there are all the episodes of those fight cards. So I'm trying to get through this topics of stuff as what's going to happen as we speak. But yeah, Tommy Fury is going to go to Hungary to fight a 5-1 fighter and to see what he's going to do. We also have another guy named Roman Fury. Another guy that's also part of the Fury family. He's a southpaw fighter, heavyweight, 4 wins, 1 knockout, and his last fight was in March the 8th, 2024 in Kingdom Arena. When I later realized that was the same time when I actually did the first ever Mr. GLOAT podcast when I reviewed this episode. So yeah, and technically I was completely blinded by this. So it's going to be interesting to see what Roman Fury is going to do tomorrow as I'm recording this on Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday, but of course, as this podcast is already uploaded, it's already coming on the 12th of Mondays when this episode is going to be released, so keep that in mind. It's going to be interesting to see if Tyson Fury's other family members can actually do an interesting job, and we'll see what happens. Also, I've been trying to pay attention to other boxers out in the northeast of New England, but there's still not a lot of interesting competition. I am interested on hearing about the female welterweight woman, WBF World Super Welterweight Champion, Dilara Usel. Her last professional fight was in June 22nd last year against a woman that had 14 losses, a Sakura Hagiwara record with 0 wins. Yeah. And I'm sure she might have won with the Boston Crab. And now she's fighting against a 1-2 fighter. So I don't know how this woman, I want to wish this woman luck. The She-Wolf, she's 21 years old, but I'm sure I hope she can. I want to wish her best of luck. And I am trying to give praises on May the 17th with Mizuki Haruta getting her 8th professional fight against Carla Ayalin Merino for her WBO World Super Flyweight title. I wish her best of luck. I hope she gets a better win. And I'm going to start talking about other stuff about the Japanese women later. Also that same day, on May the 17th, from Uganda, living in Netherlands, Willie Kyakonye is trying to win the WBF World Heavyweight Championship. So I wish him best of luck. That's going to be an interesting fight if it's going to be live on TV. Moses Atama having his own fight. He's just trying to pick up the pace against Mike Balogun on May the 24th. And as for everything else, yeah, technically there's a lot of interesting things, such as Oliver McCall just trying to get another fight in on June the 3rd in the Troubadour Theater in Texas, Nashville, against a jobber, with every other fight from Junto Nakatani. And mostly that's about it for a lot of other fighters. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen as time goes on. So guys, with some of the topics talking about, ladies and gentlemen, this one is going to be a doozy of a fight. Now, guys, I love talking about Danny Williams, and ever since Danny Williams already had his own fun stuff about his career in the time of boxing in his career, it's going to be interesting when you actually know more about him than you think. Now, to be honest, guys, Danny Williams, this person that's already out of the ranks, like, because this guy has a little bit of interesting stuff to talk about. And what better place is there to talk about other than his dislocated arm or the fight he had with Mike Tyson and his title fight loss against Vladimir Klitschko's brother, Vitaly? What better place is there to talk about than his 38 wins, 30 knockouts, 6 losses, where Danny Williams at this moment, he already, and that ever since I talked about Danny Williams when he already had that fight against another fight, I actually reviewed one of Danny Williams' other fights several months ago, and he had a fight that in 2005, after trying to recover from his career, he had a fight against Zoltan Petrani, and how horrible that fight was. At least it went only 3 rounds. And it's crazy because by 2005 and 2006, it looked like he had everything under control. He defeated Audrey Harrison in an undefeated fighter, 19-0 in December. He defeats Matt Skelton, another split decision win. He takes nobody in 2006. He loses in a rematch against Matt Skelton, has a rematch with Harrison in December a year later in 2006, 1 year after his win. And Harrison puts out a round 3 knockout. And then people are like, okay, so what happened to Danny Williams? He defeated these two guys and now he lost? But it doesn't stop him from winning the BBBFC title against Scott Gammer back in March of 2007. He picks up the win. He gets an IBF Intercontinental title fight against Oleg Patlov. But that fight ended in the 4th round by a no contest because the fight was stopped before the end of round 4 and deemed it no contest because due to accidental headbutting and other parts in the 2nd round, which is going to be another interesting fight I'm going to talk about if there is videos of it on YouTube. But yeah, by the end of 2007 and everything else, it just seemed like his career wasn't going anywhere, and they just thought, it's just a waste of time. He lost twice against, he already had his losses, his rematch losses, and that was it. His win against Marcus McGee, a journeyman fighter in April the 12th in America in 2008, was a pretty interesting win of domination, but then you go to May the 30th, 2008, live in Barcelona, Spain, where I don't know what to say about this. Guys, this fight card is so different. Like, you have Herbie Hyde, a past prime fighter, gets a 12-round easy win that night. And then you have Yokup Sagalam, a past prime fighter that's still fighting today. He was 13-0 undefeated at the time. You had an unbelievable hype job loser against Hector Mariaro that was 19-0, takes on a 6-11-2 person with a jobber record, and that jobber gets him in 2 rounds and ends the guy's career months later when he had one more fight, and then that was it because that jobber loss ended him. And then you have Danny Williams taking on Konstantin Airich. A-I-R-I-C-H. So Airich is how you call him. Konstantin Airich. But the commentators and other people call him Eric. But at the end of the day, this guy is from the country of Kazakhstan, living in Germany at the time or so, as coming to fight Williams. So, yeah, that's all you have to know about this, and it's so bad. So, the fight starts out differently. So, Eric is not much of a fighter, a 29-year-old kid, a person with not much of an unbeaten person because he's an unbeaten record with 9 wins, 1 draw. His record resume in those fights weren't much to talk about other than he had a 12-2 fighter he fought in March, which ended in an 8-round points decision draw. And then had another fight in April the 26th, a month later, and now he's taking on Danny Williams to get him a big break in boxing. So yet again, I really can't say much about this other than whether you think he had what it takes. But this is the most funniest part. Guys, we already know that WWE is a sport that's not manipulated, but it's predetermined, pre-choreographed. You think, oh, one person know who's going to win. Oh, I'm going to put this guy over. You're going to put me over. I'm putting over on myself, this or that. But when it comes to the sport, people do get hurt. And referees know that if they're trying to pretend to be blind and stupid, they're going to have to play the fact. They're just going to go if it's a tag team match. Because every time you see tag team wrestling, heels versus baby faces, a baby face is going to try to save his opponent. The referee bumps in to just stop him from pushing him out of the way while the heels are beating up the baby face behind the referee's back. This is a symptom where you had Artur Mercanti Jr. trying to help out Yuri Foreman stay in the fight against Miguel Cotto. That's what this fight was like. Here's the thing. The referee's name is Alfredo Garcia Perez. And Garcia Perez only had 6 referees in his career and 46 judging fights he's ever judged. 2002 to 2015, he had 46 bouts he judged. To 2008 to 2017, he only had 6 bouts. The first bout was this. And if you think it's crazy, because he would do part-time judging in 2010 when he was involved with other fights with EBU European Union light heavyweight champion, a Spanish cruiserweight fight in 2012, an EBU European Union featherweight title back in 2014, an EBU European super lightweight title fight in 2015, and a Spanish bantamweight bout in 2017. Those were the only 6 bouts he had. And this is the only fight that's a non-title bout. Keep that in mind. So, and this guy from Spain doesn't speak English. So the fight starts out where they announce the fighters, the announcer announces the fighters, everything else. And then with everything going on, referee brings them into the ring. And so they actually decide to bring in a referee that's in his first ever debut fight. Can't speak English. The announcer announces the name. He's about to get out of the ring. Referee is telling both of them to come here for everything. It only takes like 5 or 10 seconds for each fighter to walk slowly towards each other. It's so bad. And the thing is, he can't speak English. He was yelling out instructions in non-English. So, like his tongue cannot speak English, and he's trying to come out talking, just bring the fighters over here. It's so bad. He's just, and consider this is his country of Spain, which is the only language he can speak, with 2 guys, one in Germany, living in Germany, the other in British. And this is what you get. He's telling both guys to come here, and then for some reason, both guys back away from each other, and then he comes here and gives them both pointing down like this. It's so bad. He's telling both, it's so bad. Like, I don't understand the fighters. What was the point of Eric and Danny Williams being involved in this fight? It took like 10 or 20 seconds for the referee to come here. He's speaking Spanish, and both fighters, Williams, Eric, are walking, and then suddenly they back up like this for some reason, and the referee's going, here, and then both fighters... It's so bad. It's so bad. Ew, it's so bad. Like, this was a mistake by all mankind. So, and so weird, because he's giving them warning, box stop, this or that, and then that's about it. And it's crazy because they brought in a ring card girl to actually put up the sign in a bikini, a woman with a bikini on, putting the card. She decides to enter in the ring while giving instructions. Now, of course, in boxing, while the announcer announces the fighters before and the referee gives them instructions, women would come into the ring even while they were in the middle of doing the instructions announcements. But they decided to just get her in there. I guess that was the fact of the show, but man, it was so bad. So the first round comes in, and... So guys, this is what's interesting. I looked up BoxRec to see if anything was interesting about this fight, and this is what it read. So it says right here, Williams was deducted a point in round 2 for low blow. Williams received a standing 8 count in round 3 when he stumbled into the ropes and was counted in the 4th round after a slip. He was deducted a point in round 5 for hitting after a break. And Eric was counted in round 5 where he lost his balance after stepping beside the canvas. Now, the other information I might read is different, but let's not get to that because it just gets worse by the moment, because that's only half the information that I might tell you guys. The rest is, well, technically it's already half already. We're over the halfway mark of it. So how bad was this fight? So here's what we get. the first round comes in. Both guys are stunning each other. There was a moment in the beginning part of the first seconds. Danny Williams goes for a wild left and he stumbles, and Eric comes in, and like it was a real crazy thing. And Eric comes in and throws everything, throwing body punches and punches back after him for reasons why Williams thought he was going early into the fight. Who knows? And then there is trainers in the background throwing towels in the air. I think it was Eric's team. But of course they would go on and start. Like the first round was pretty decent considering how sloppy Williams went through the first punch. So the first round wasn't the worst. It was a better round. Moments from body punches, the first minute, Eric just throwing everything he's got. Like, it was a really good round for Eric, and technically, I really wish I can explain how the punches were and how this or that, but yet again, I would be here all day if that was the truth. So we get to the second round where we get points abducted and points, but how did it go? So this is what makes things hilarious. Around the first minute of the second round, we come out. So around the first minute of the second round, nothing gets crazy. They're both stunning each other. And then both guys swing punches wild. And then Danny goes for a low blow right into Eric. Ooh. And when I looked back at it, yeah, that was a real low blow punch. So instead of giving him a warning, the Spanish referee, technically, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about this because here's the problem. When looking at it back again, Garcia, what's even weird, because this is what happened. He punches him in a low blow. He stops the action. And then he gives the Irishman a standing 8 count and then followed it up by docking 2 points. What? I tried to go back. So it's weird. I looked at so this is what it said. Like it said in BoxRec, it said Williams was deducted 2 points for a low blow, but Williams received 2 standing 8 counts. In the second round and in the third round, where he stumbled in the ropes. I really, I was really a little bit confused when I looked up the information about that, and I apologize for that, sorry. I was really confused by that because I was like, why would you do that? I was really confused. Give me a second here. I was really confused when looking at that because it was like something was up, but for reasons why that was the case, because he punched him in the gut or in the low blow. He low blowed Eric and gave him a standing 8 count while ducking him 2 points. So standing 8 count, meaning that Eric won the round, even though the second round seemed like Williams did a better job than him, ? Meaning it was a 10-8, but then he abducts him 2 points, meaning the score for round 2 is 10-6. Makes no sense. I would rather abduct it as a 9 round for Williams and then or 9 for Eric and a 7 for Williams. But yet again, yeah, it's so confusing. And by the way, to this day, the judges' scorecards, we don't really know the exact scores even to this day. So who knows? And as I'm actually thinking about typing this through, let me just type something here about this because it's interesting to understand. It's really interesting because it's really interesting to understand the level of fortitude coming into this, because we come to round 3, and during the start of round 3, they're both by round 2 there was a moment where, by the way, there was a moment in round there is a moment where 1 minute left of the second round, he comes in and throws another low blow. And you can see the replay showing that he did got low blowed with 50 seconds left of the fight. But you know, it's crazy. It was crazy because the commentators are surprised and confused. And it's crazy because with 50 seconds left, with 50 seconds left of the fight, he hits him in a low blow again with 1 minute left, and then deducts him another point, so we can assume that's only 2 points. So he gives him points away for reasons like it is bad because like the thing is, it was a second low punch and third, and he's out for everything else, because at this moment it was really bad. Because just looking at everything going on, the third round is what makes things worse, because the third round is what makes things more controversial, where Williams has tape around his gloves, and one of the gloves around the tape is dangling. So early into the round, the referee stops, tells them to sew the tape back. And in some moments of the fight, there was a moment where the referee tried to tape the tape back around Williams's glove again, which you couldn't do that. There was another moment in the fight where Williams was tired of it, so he decided to rip the tape off and throw it away while during the moment of the fight, which is like, what's the point of having taped gloves? And of course, before the end of the fight, the tape would still have problem in the 7th round, where Williams' tape was still having problems, and the referee and everyone else was just giving up on the tape. The tape on the gloves of Williams' gloves is so ridiculously bad. It was so bad. But yeah, by round 3, with 1 minute into the fight, the tape around the gloves were having the problem. But then with 1 minute and 30 seconds, he gets a good clean punch, balances, stumbles Williams, and the referee counts as a knockdown for a 10-8. Unbelievable. It was unbelievable of a fashion of, I just don't know what to say. Like, yes, he stumbled, but it was so bad. And the tape around his glove, in his left glove, gets stuck. And it was so it was so bad. It was so bad. Like, it was so bad. And yes, with 1 minute left of the third round, like, I think one of them, I think Williams or someone said, but what about the glove? And it's weird because someone points out the referee shouldn't be doing this, which is crazy because he shouldn't. He tapes the glove back. It's so bad. And the glove is just getting wrapped, stuck everywhere, 20, 15 seconds. It was so bad. And like I said before, there was a moment where the referee brings another knockdown for a stumble again. And as he's doing 4, 5, 6, Williams rips the tape out and just says, screw it. He rips the tape out. There's no meaning to it. And at this moment, there's just nothing you can do to say that this was a fight people are going to remember, unless if you're a Williams fan. And this is one of the things I can honestly say is ridiculous. And this was round 4 at the moment. At this moment, after, I don't know what I was keeping track of. So I went back, tried to put out scores or something, tried to see if there was anything deductible or this or that, but when looking back at it after several rounds, my scorecards were so out of pocket. I had it round 1 for Eric. I gave it a 9-7 score for Williams or something, or a 9-8. I couldn't even keep track of what I was judging in round 2. I don't know if it was an 8-8, 9-9, 9-8, 9-7, or a 10-6. I don't know. All I know is Williams did a better job in round 2. And then in round 7, I had 10-7 or 10-7 in round 3 and 10-8 in round 4 for Eric. Like, it was so bad. I was giving rounds for like 39. I had Eric getting 39 points after 4 rounds. And Williams is in the first to fourth was a 9-7-7-8. And if you had to add those scores up, which I will, that's a total of, jeez, I'm so bad at calculators on computers. Oh my God. He scores 31. So the score after 4 rounds was 39-31. He was 8 points down after 4 rounds in an 8-round fight. That is the most ridiculous thing. And at this moment, I can say this is like a Rocky movie because it's like, oh, Rocky is losing against Apollo Creed. How is he going to win this fight? That's how ridiculous it is. But then in round 5 gets more controversial. He's coming in, battling his way through punch after punch. Round 5 is what made things a lot more... I don't know how to point this out. So, guys, round 4 was the moment where Eric actually threw an interesting left punch and Williams stumbled in round 4. And, technically, I really don't know what to say. It's weird because here's the thing. It's crazy because, so the information, by the way, like I said before, the information here, as I found on BoxRec, let me read more of this information on BoxRec, just to make sure I know what I'm talking about, because I don't think I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm sorry for making this a long topic, but this is crazy. So like I said, in round 5, Eric was counted in the 5th round as he lost his balance. But as was deducted a point as for Williams, the moment came where at the moment of the 5th round, they came out and as throwing in the belt, like, for everything else, the commentators are pointing out stuff such as, like, this is one of the worst referees I've ever seen in a long time, or how Williams is going to be told everything and he has to stop Eric. And one of the commentators stated that he had 8 rounds down going into the 5th round. Which is kind of crazy because that's pretty accurate for my scorecard. It stinks that the scorecards today are still unknown. We'll never know, but I'm sure that I just don't know what the judges had their scores. It was really confusing. So yes, by the 5th round, they coming after a minute or so, and the Irish was well ahead of points. Like, this Irishman was putting in everything he could, but I think Williams understood that this guy was a bummed. So he comes into round 5, hurts his opponent, and he gets a very hard punch around the 5th and throws punches as best he could. And with 45 seconds left of the fight, the referee warns him this or that. He times out, tells Eric to go to a corner, and gives him another 1-point abduction. What is going on here? What is going on here? What is going on? And the worst part is 30 seconds collide into the fight left. Williams is trying to herd out his opponent as best he could. And with seconds left of the fight, as he goes down with 1 second left, bam, down goes Eric. And at that moment, the round was over. So I gave an 8-8 round, an even score because of it. But yeah, it hurts his opponent, this or that. Well, wait, did I give 8? I think I did. I think it was a 9-8 score for the point. So yeah, he goes down, he gives him a count, and then for some reason, the referee really wanted to help out this guy to defeat Williams. But instead of trying to give Williams a hard time, he decided to give Williams more time to keep his stamina up. Because at this moment, we had 0 seconds on the clock. Commentators are like, the round's over. But then the referee comes in talking to officials in Spanish. At this moment, he even tells Eric to go to another corner and then starts talking, rambling. The commentators are pointing out the round is over. What on earth is going on with this referee? Everything is going on. He gives Williams so much time to regain more focus. He even ruins Eric's chance to win this fight by giving him a knockout point. Instead of having him go down to the ropes and just say, it's a slip, he's not going to count as a knockdown. Dude, if that referee counted it as a slip as the end of the 5th round instead of a knockout, boy, oh boy, this would be more controversial than it already is. But no, he gives him a knockout point just to give Eric a hard time and to give Williams a little bit more stamina to catch his breath to get into the final rounds. And the commentators are pointing out round 6 might be the end of might be a good win for Williams in round 6. So they continue the fight where Williams and Eric go forward a couple steps and then the bell rings. They're already at 0 seconds since day 1. Doesn't make sense. So, and then for some reason, both of them walk to Eric's corner. Like Williams went to the wrong corner, ? I don't know, but he does go back to the corner. And round 6, oh boy, round 6. What do I have to say about round 6? They're both stunning each other. Williams hurts his opponent with 50 seconds in the 6th round. He's hurting every single punch. Eric is even covering himself. He goes down and a 10-8 score. Instead, he just gives Williams a chance to try to win the fight. As he continues the fight with 1 minute 50 seconds left, Williams is punching out his opponent. And by the way, guys, I tried to look up where the timekeeper was. I didn't know where the timekeeper was at the time or where the timekeeper bell, but I later realized that one of the corner angles of the ring where the cameraman was filming the wider view of the WWE version side, I see a person holding his body like this with his hands around his back, wearing a tan suit. I later realized that person's name, sorry about that, was none other than Ahmet Oner, a promoter / manager of this. Bro, this Omar guy was standing next to a timekeeper bell, and at 1 minute and 41 seconds. So at 1:45 seconds, as the clock states, I look at the time. His hands are still behind his back or something, or like one of his hands are like this. And then at 1 minute and 43 seconds, Williams is punching his opponent. And then at 1 minute and 42 seconds left of the 6th round, Omar puts his hands like this. And then at 1 minute 42 seconds, he takes his hands and grabs the bell next to the timekeeper's bell like this. He's putting his hands like this. So Williams is punching out Eric like this, and Omar is standing like this next to the timekeeper's bell. And at 1 minute 42 seconds, he takes his hand and takes it to the bell to ring the bell. And at 1 minute and 41 seconds left of the fight, 79 seconds of the 6th round, the bell rings. Commentators point out he's been saved by the bell. And then they get confused, realizing saved by the bell. And then with 1 minute 37 seconds left, 1:35, 1:36, like the timer's still going down. And then the commentators uses it. The commentators lose their minds. He's like, saved by the bell? But about 1 minute and 35 seconds ago. Like, what on earth is going on right now? Guys, even women's boxing is great to have a 2-minute fight for each round, but this was even 1 minute 30 seconds of a round. Guys, you can look at the angle and the replay of the fight and see the timekeeper and Omar putting his hand out like that. It was clear that he did it. For reasons why he did it, oh boy. But it gets worse because the referee's not going to stop the fight. He's not going to help Eric escape. He's just going to do something like Arthur McCanty Jr. did when he almost tried to fatally finish Yuri Foreman. And you know what's crazy? We come into the 7th round of this bout. And about seconds into the bout, I'm paying attention to Omar. Omar grabs a towel. Williams is punching him, and 23 seconds of the bout, he throws the towel. 23 seconds of the 7th round. 2 rounds to go. He throws the towel, and calls a halt to the fight. Williams wins by round 7 TKO. Guys, this is the most ridiculous fight. This is the most ridiculous performance in boxing history. Why would you ever want to watch boxing again after watching this performance? It's so bad that it makes you wonder how someone could operate something that bad in boxing. It's so bad that it makes you wonder why. Why? So yes, guys, as for the scorecard in my sheet, and I'm sure everyone was giving, I don't know why. Why did they do that? I don't get it. And by the way, here's what BoxRec said about it. It said the towel was thrown in the ring, ending the bout, but it wasn't Ark's corner who threw the towel. It was a Spanish boxing regulation of owner, the promoter, that rung the bell. It also stated that a complaint by Williams prompted the British Boxing Board of Control to look into the circumstances of the fight. Williams survived 3 8 counts to win the bout by 7th round TKO, but claimed the odds were unfairly stacked against him, citing multiple point deductions by the referee, as well as the bell explicitly, whatever that word means, inexplicably ringing midway through the 6th round, ending early in to the round early when Williams had Ark in trouble. Guys, you look back at this, it makes you wonder that the odds were stacked against Williams. And like I said about the 5th round, where Eric was down and the referee Alfredo decided to give him a knockout in the 6th round, he should have just said slip. If they wanted Eric to win, they just gave more time for Williams to recover from his injuries just to hurt him in the later rounds of 6 and 7. That was their damn fault. By the way, considering this was in Spain where the fight took place, they also stated that Germany's Sport 1 was also live during this moment, so I can't say much about that. And even a promoter, Artur Moral was also another promoter, a Spanish promoter that was involved in 2 promotion fights in his career, this one and a year later in April the 26th. But I couldn't find a lot of information about that as much, other than it's just a normal show that doesn't have a lot of great talent. But at the end of the day, I do question there's a lot of problems in this, and I hope we get to the bottom of this. Because at the end of the day, this is ridiculous. But I think it's probably best not to, because it's all in the past. But I'm actually happy to review this. This was one of the most funniest, dumb boxing matches I've ever seen. Taped glove, referee that can't speak English. Oh my God. A promoter ringing the bell and then throwing in the towel a round later, not even halfway through the next round. Yeah, this was the most incompetent boxing match of all time. I gave this a... Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. I don't want to talk about this anymore. And by the way, guys, the scorecard for the fight, just to let you viewers know, I actually scored this fight a wild of craziness, because the scorecards of this fight are just so ridiculous. And before I get to the last topic of this fight, because we're almost at the 45-minute mark, and I'm already tired of talking about this, I already had the scorecards as 55-50, meaning that if Williams won round 7, 60 to 64, 70 to 73, even if it's a knockout, 72 or 71. So even if he actually did score a couple knockouts each in round 7 or round 8, the score would have been 70 to 71, meaning that Eric would have won the fight by a huge point, by 1 point, if there were still knockouts in the next rounds. So technically they screwed, I don't know why they screwed Eric up, and I don't know why they thought this was a good idea to do something like this, because my scores were on the roof. And when you watch this, this is just one of the worst performances in history of boxing. And Talking about Danny Williams and his career boxing and later on fighting against other fighters and then losing in tournaments and such, and even losing against Derek Chisora in 2010 and Manuel Achar in 2011, and then how his career went downhill in 2011 and then started losing a several fight lose streak by 2013 and 2014 and 2015, and how his career was going down death zone. Just goes to show you, it stinks. And even stinks how his career was down the hill, because this is just the worst I could ever imagine in boxing history. All I can say is we just hope we'll never see another performance like this again. But I hate to say it, but it might happen soon. Sooner than later. Anyway, guys, the last topic of this show, ladies and gentlemen, I like to talk about is Samir Yamanaka and Tina Rupert again. So, guys, I do like to apologize one thing here. I am sorry for having a little bit of horrific problems about Tina Rupert and her undisputed atomweight title championship win she had. And I am sorry. I don't want to offend Germany or something like that, and I don't want to make this a horrific controversy. But the reason for this is that there's so much problems out there that a lot of fans don't even know about the atomweight division of boxing, and which makes Tina Rupert escape easily. And even though there's only one YouTuber out there that actually released the full fight footage on YouTube, just like he did to the Iri Matsuda fight that Tina Rupert won last November the 23rd, I look back at this and I'm like, there's a lot of fans that don't know much about this weight class, and it's so bad. And you have Samir Yamanaka, the first Japanese woman fighting for an undisputed title and to become undisputed as a Japanese woman, and this is what you get. She scores a round 9 knockout, and then they threw it away and slip, and then she loses by domination by 2 female judges in Germany in Tina's backyard of this fight. It's so bad you get to see that, and I'm like, there's no way. And I'm still trying to fight this out to try to put fairness. And as I said before, guys, if Tina Rupert is not going to fight for her titles, because I'm still trying to wait for an update if there's anything going on as we speak, because I'm still trying to look for more information, but there's a lot of people that are not throwing any information out here. The reason I'm doing this, guys, is that there's a lot of Japanese women out there. Japanese girls are just not getting the fame that they're getting. There's a lot of Japanese girls out there in boxing that are girls that are not doing a good job in performances. If you look up on BoxRec and you look up all the weight classes of Japanese boxing and females, you can say that there's girls that have undefeated records and then boom, they lose. For instance, Aka Ringo, now a bantamweight fighter with 5 wins, 4 knockouts, 1 loss, and that loss was dumb enough because in April she was going to take on Hyunmi Choi for the WBA super featherweight champion. And then Choi withdrew from the fight. We don't know why. Because she knew that she was going to get beaten. So they decided to bring in Bomi Shin, another Korean woman in Hyunmi Choi's country, and defeats Aka Ringo. You wasted talent for that, and she gets effed, takes on a nobody a year later, and wins another fight against someone in Mexico, but the damage was already done. That's how bad it is. And even recently, even Yuki Fuki, another Japanese woman in the flyweight division, had 4 wins and takes on a woman named Nane Yamanaka, another woman in her country. And all these Japanese girls are just fighting in their country against their own kind that's more even and unfair for their own self, because their undefeated record can go away just like that. And she lost in the majority's decision. We even have another Japanese woman that had a chance to make it big, named Chimnome Wada, and she had a chance until she lost against a woman last March the 24th against Sari Metcalf, a 2-2-2 record, and she got lost by a majority decision. It's so sad that I want to promote these girls to make it, but if they're going to keep fighting in their country, they might almost not keep their record. That's how sad it is for me to look at this. Heck, you even had another woman named Ayumi Shuzui, a woman that fought last May the 6th, a couple days ago, last Tuesday, against a woman with 5-2-1 record named Riho Yoshida. It said that she was winning the fight. Ayumi was winning the fight with her 3-0 record. And then in the final round of round 6, she lost by a round 6 TKO in the last 46 seconds of the fight. And now her career is dead. It's bad that Japanese girls are not getting the treatment that they're getting. And if you don't believe me, I have a lot of Japanese girls I'm paying attention to. Girls like Arisa Tsubata, Mao Nishi, Nodoka Taka, Ri Kawai, Maiko Iwasaki, Irika Hanado, Shiori Yotsumoto, Komi Sato, Madoka Wada, of course, Nao Ugawa, Satsuki Ito, Kaori Tsutsumi, Mizuki Hiruta, and Hinata Takakura. Those females have had a lot of interesting things. And the only thing they're in common is that they have undefeated record, but not a lot of resume because they're fighting in their country and they're not getting a lot of big breaks in boxing. So, and when you have one Japanese girl like Samura Yamanaka that put her whole body on the line and went to Germany to take on Fabiana Batik last November, but Batik had a sickness problem, so they actually canceled the fight, giving Yamanaka a free round bye to take on Tina Rupert, comes back April the 5th in her country, scores a knockout in round 9, referee gives a slip, and then the end of the 10 rounds, I had 95-94 with the knockout that should have been counted. The Belgian judge had 95 even, but it should have been 95-94. And we had 96-95 by one judge giving one of the rounds a 10-10 for Rupert to win by a point. What? And 99-91 by another German female giving it to Rupert. No. People are screwing with Japanese women so much that Japanese women can't catch a break. And I'm trying to support these girls on making it a big impact in boxing because it's bad enough to see that they're not getting a big deal in boxing. Guys, Tenkai Tsutomoto, Sana Hazuki, a journeyman, Miho Yoshida, and Mika Iwakawa, and Terumi Nuki, they don't have a lot of great wins in their career, and they've lost a lot of fights in their career. But even though they've been winning titles but not getting big wins because they can't defeat women that are from the Western world because they don't have a lot of skills. And it's so bad that they can't get a break. So I just wish we can get another chance in boxing again. And that's why I'm trying to wish Mizuki Hiruta a best of luck to defend her WBO World Super Flyweight title in a win here, because I hope we can get something here. I hope we can have a world championship fight in the super flyweight where we'll have women that are fighting each other to win titles against each other. Like after she gets her win against Carla, Irma Garcia, past prime fighter like Ashleigh Gonzalez Macias, WBC champion, Irma, IBF, we can see them unify their titles, get a win here. We also have the WBA champion. That's ranked number 10, number 13, named Jasmine Artiga, and she's the WBA champion. So we can see her taking on Mizuki for title, or even have someone else fight for a unified title, or even have Mizuki take on one of the Mexican fighters and have the other Mexican take on Jasmine Artiga for unified championship. I want to see that. But yet again, we might not, because it's so tough to see this as we're speaking, because it just questions the fact really hard, because it's not like how Naoka Fujioka is a 5 weight class champion. The only problem with Naoka Fujioka is that, guys, Naoka Fujioka is a really of a tough person to grade. Because as a WBC mini flyweight, WBA super flyweight, WBO bantamweight, WBA flyweight, and a WBO light flyweight champion from 2011 to 2017, the problem is she never had the chance in any of those weight classes to unify the titles. And even when she did have a chance to unify the titles, like against Marlene Esparza last April of 2022, that was the damage that done it to her. Which sucks because she should have deserved it and even deserved better. But no, these Japanese girls just can't handle that much as you speak. So I just hope we can get this fixed out in the future as we speak. But for now, well, we might as well wait and see what happens in the future. But thank you, viewers, for watching this episode. I think my hair is already dried after getting out of the shower a couple hours ago, so I don't think I have to wear this anymore. But we'll just have to wait and see in the future and see what happens. So with that being said, the Fox Wolf says, out.